A Polish individual and Tunbridge Wells paedophile, Slawomir Pyza, who kissed a terrified schoolgirl while she was seated alone on a bench and, on another occasion, remarked to a different girl that sex is good in Poland, has been incarcerated. On two distinct instances, 5 months apart, Slawomir Pyza specifically selected his victims, ages 14 and 15, who were seated alone in Tunbridge Wells. The 53-year-old attended Maidstone Crown Court for sentencing on 2 charges of sexual activity with a minor. He had formally refuted the allegations but was found guilty at trial in August. During the trial, it was revealed that one of the teenagers sent a text to her buddy stating SOS after being assaulted on a bench in Grosvenor and Hilbert Park. Consequently, 2 men, including the girl's father, managed to subdue Slawomir Pyza until the police arrived. The court was informed that Slawomir Pyza, who had no definite residence, exhibited signs of intoxication through his slurred speech and unsteady movements before being forcibly subdued to the ground and restrained until the police came. On Friday, September 12, prosecutor Anne-Marie Critchley informed the court that on October 22, the 14-year-old victim was seated on a bench adjacent to St. Matthew's Church on High Brooms Road, Tunbridge Wells. Slawomir Pyza approached, seated himself, and commenced conversing with her in his rudimentary English. One of the girls was accosted while at Grosvenor and Hilbert Park in Tunbridge Wells. Ms. Critchley said it was apparent the defendant started talking about sex, and he told the teenager sex is good in Poland, told her she was sexy and that he loved her, as well as if she'd had sex before. Slawomir Pyza then moved closer to the young girl, kissed her hand, and placed it on his thigh before whispering in her ear and kissing her on the cheek. The teenager then moved away, but Slawomir Pyza persisted and approached her when in front of others. The police were called, and he was arrested at the scene and later bailed. It was while on bail, this time on March 9, that Slawomir Pyza approached another teenage girl, aged 15, in the park. On this occasion, the Polish national touched her thigh and offered her cigarettes and a beer. The 53-year-old appeared at Maidstone Crown Court to be sentenced. He then touched his cheek, as if to ask for a kiss, and when the girl refused, he kissed her on the lips. After managing to send a text to her friend reading SOS, the girl's family came and held Slawomir Pyza, who was arrested again and remanded in custody after a court appearance a couple of days later. During a trial in August, jurors heard the victim had been sitting alone on the bench, listening to music via AirPods while on her phone, when she was joined by a man she did not know. Describing to police the moment he then touched her leg, the teenager explained, "My legs were crossed and I was trying to move, and that's when he got his left hand and rested it on my thigh and started squeezing a little bit. I froze in that moment, thinking this is so weird, what is going on?" Not long after that, he pointed to his cheek. "I shook my head and moved away. That's when he leaned in and kissed me." The girl told police the man had not said anything to her as he put his arm around her and touched her thigh. She also confirmed she had not spoken to him, either. Asked by the officer how she had felt as the incident unfolded, she replied, "I just didn't know what to do. I think it was because my body was in shock. I just sat there, I completely froze. My body froze, my mind was racing." However, she also told of how she snapped out of it about 10 seconds later and texted her friend, saying SOS. Quick before explaining how she had been touched, groped and kissed. In a victim impact statement, the older victim said, "This has affected me in multiple ways. I have lost sleep as what happened plays in my head. I've had nightmares that affect my day. I don't get any sleep, or I only get a few hours. This got worse in the lead up to court, and having to go over it again. I hate what he has done." In her own statement, the 14-year-old victim told of her mental health struggles and how she didn't deserve this. "Since the day I was assaulted, there hasn't been a day or second I haven't thought about that night," she said. "I live with this shame and anger I didn't ask for. The things that happened to me weren't just a moment, they changed my life and relationships." The court heard how, at the time of the first offense, Pyza was on a community order for assaulting an emergency worker. Recorder Edmund Burge said Slawomir Pyza's consistent denial of the allegations prolonged the trauma for his victims and left them permanently scared. He added, "I have no doubt your actions that day have had a profound and lasting effect." Slawomir Pyza was sentenced to 15 months in prison. He has already served nearly 6 months in custody after being remanded in March. Recorder Burge concluded, "I want you to understand how serious what you did is. I hope you reflect on that in the years to come."